Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. This is Angela with another edition of Notes on the Newsfeed, where I read to you headlines and I give you my thoughts on the headlines or whatever the headlines happen to bring up for me. Now, some of these headlines, I've only read the headlines. Some of these items I've read the full article. Some of them I've skimmed the article or read the paragraph that follows the headline. But we're going to jump right in because the news just keeps on coming. You can find eventually the link to the articles on my Twitter feed, and I will try to shoot a link to my Twitter feed into the description as soon as I get those articles loaded up. So let us jump in. It's not, looking at the viewfinder, it seems dark out here, but you can see it's not. I'm just trying to not be in the direct sun because you know it's hot. All right, NRA releases another ad. Isn't the NRA just on their ad game these days? Maybe they always have been and we hadn't heard of it. NRA releases another ad aimed at Women's March organizer, prompting her to organize a march on them. Watching freedom of the press erode, Venezuela's journalists get innovative. Isn't that exciting how creative people are under, I would say repression, but I don't know the specific situation in Venezuela, but their assessment is that freedom of the press is eroding, so they're getting creative. So I kind of skimmed the article and it seems like they're doing like roadside news reports or something. I didn't quite read the article, but you know, it's really mysterious as to why I would be interested in freedom of the press and repression of the press, because of course that's not something that, you know, I would need to be concerned with, you know, living here in the USA, right? Georgetown student struggles to pay tuition, though the school sold her slave grandparents to stay open. They had options. She don't have them same options. Sarah Palin is catching heat for tweeting a reference commonly associated with white supremacy and neo-Nazis. Now these people have been in the pool. They've been all over the pool, and now for whatever reason they just right here at this end of the pool talking. I don't know if you can hear them in the background, but it's very distracting and confusing, but they probably just doing their thing. It don't have nothing to do with me. Ooh, we got a little breeze. What she said something about 14, or there's some secret white supremacist code called 14 words, and it's something like we must preserve. I don't know. I did kind of look at it, but I don't know, because I just figure God and good wins out. So some level of detail I just can't get into all the time. Trump's Justice Department continues reversal from Obama era, backs new Texas voter ID law. Oh, aren't they just precious? Let's get out here and just anything that looked like justice, anything that looked like justice, or anything that looked like anything that a black man did, you turn it back. That's how it seems. Is that how it seems to you? Or is that just me? It's probably just me. They tried it. Pop Sugar gets dragged to hell for posting this pro natural hair article. Now, I think that if white women wear their hair without chemicals or whatever, I guess that technically it's natural hair. But typically when we're talking about the natural hair movement, we're talking about black people. But what's really interesting to me about this whole thing is, and so this article featured 3 white women. It wasn't like 3 mulatto type women or 3 racially ambiguous women. They were just like, for all appearances, straight out white. And you know, they had the problems of frizzy hair and thick hair. I don't remember what their problems were. But it's sort of like it's on that continuum, right? Because in general, the people who have the greatest issue in terms of embracing and finding products for and caring for, and not having people harass them about their natural hair, are people like me with nappy hair. You know, especially if you're dark skinned and you got nappy hair, oh my God, you better straighten that stuff out. You better, you know. And so, you know, a lot of people have been talking about the co-optation of the natural hair movement, or the fact that the natural hair movement, you know, when it deals with black people, people of color, has focused so much on people who, instead of having tightly curled, kinky hair, have loosely curled hair that we commonly call curly. But I'm like, my hair is way curlier than them. But anyway, the loosely curled hair tends to be the representative and the focus and the be glorified in our, even in our natural hair movement. So part of that continuum, it seems like it's natural, like what's going on with Shea Moisture, or, you know, there's always it seems like there's a slide. I don't know if it's a slippery slope, but there's a slide to whitifying things, and, you know, so this fits right into it, doesn't it? Police, Venus Williams legally entered intersection before crash. New video confirms claim. Zero waste life. So this is about, you know, not using plastics, and just not, you know, how much garbage do you create a week? I noticed when we had the recycling bins get set up in Hattiesburg that, oh my God, I try not to use a lot of plastic, but I would see people's recycling bins just flowing over. And it would take us like a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever the cycle was. It was like every week people's bins would be full and overflowing, and it would take us a long time for our bin to get to the point where, you know, it was anywhere near full. But just because, you know, I think by minimizing plastics, I minimize a lot of you know, stuff. But it's hard to minimize plastics. But this is a store or something that deals with you know, just not being wasteful. Even stuff like, I got to the point where if I made a sandwich, I would use a cloth to wrap it up instead of plastic, or, you know, something like that. How much do world leaders earn? And it had a picture, I think, of Trump and Merkel, and I don't know, there were like 4 white folks in the picture. I still haven't looked up G20, but that's going to be my next agenda. America is closing in on a record number of weather disasters, and it's not even peak hurricane season. So that makes you think that generally the weather disasters, at least the headline makes me think that generally the weather disasters that we have in the United States are related to hurricane season. So, and I don't know if they consider these fires to be weather disasters, like these forest fires and stuff. But anyway, you know, it makes it seem like there's something different going on, something out of the norm. Prince's music videos hit YouTube following Purple Rain reissue. Now, if I remember correctly, if I understand correctly, Prince was never, well, actually at the beginning of the internet, he was a big advocate and, you know, kind of a thought leader in, you know, the internet, and you know, changing some things musically with computers and stuff like that, or the, you know, on the business side of music with computers. But the impression that I get is that he kind of felt like he couldn't manage the process in a way that he felt comfortable, like he couldn't have enough control of his product and enough control of his profit. So, you know, because I think he had a music streaming service like 20 years ago. It was like Prince's, you know, but he didn't feel like he could really get control, and he was probably ahead of his time. I wonder if he was an Aquarius, but he couldn't get control of it, of the situation, in a way that he felt comfortable having his products out there. So he kind of, you know, was not really big on having his stuff on the internet. So I don't think a lot of his stuff is on YouTube. And I think that now that you know, he's made his transition, I guess days are changing. Amazon Prime members spend a whole lot more on site than non-members. That's the design, right? Is this like a celebration? Amazon, you so smart, because loyalty programs are always designed for the people who are involved, for them to spend more with them and to shop with them more frequently, right? That's the plan. So I don't know why that's a headline. America is one of the largest offenders of food waste in the world. And Oh, I think I had to delete this video, but I had said that, like, you know, I'm really particular, like when I'm preparing food and when I'm cooking, and even when I go to a restaurant, like if I see brown in my lettuce, I don't particularly, in a salad, I don't particularly care for that, or if it's wilted. And when I'm preparing food for myself, it's similar, you know, or for my family or whatever. That's probably going into the compost bin if I see it, you know, if I see something that looks. And my first mother-in-law, she was like, she didn't like me very much. I don't know how or why. And it was a subtle thing, but I picked up on it. But she was always say, Angela, you throw away enough food to feed a small family. But I do try to be very aware and conscientious about food and not throwing food away. And, you know, if I get something and carry it out, because I also try to be conscientious of, you know, just because they fill your plate up with food doesn't mean you have to eat all of it. But if I carry it out, I try to make sure that, you know, I eat it the next day or that evening or whatever. But they say we throw away a lot of food in America. Black Lives Matter responds to chilling National Rifle Association video that was seen as an open call to violence. This is the second NRA conversation or thing that's gone across my news feed. Elizabeth Freeman wins her freedom in 1781 case, and the Emancipation Proclamation was almost 100 years away. But I always love people who have names like Freeman, because I feel like they chose that name to say, I'm a freeman. You know, I'm a free man, I'm a free person, I'm a free human being. Japan floods. Deaths after Kyushu rain rise to 15. So I guess there's flooding and stuff going on in Japan. So rest in peace, and just sending out peace and love to the families that are dealing with, you know, the crisis. 15 people. That's a lot of people to me. You know. Japan's Dentsu advertising agency charged over employee suicide. Now, apparently there's something common in Japanese culture where people work themselves to death. I think this young woman was under 30. It seemed like she was 24 or 25, and she had basically said that she gets to sleep, or she's able to sleep 10 hours a week because she's working so hard. And I said 10 hours a week, not 10 hours a night, 10 hours a week. That's not even an hour a night, is it? Oh, that's like 1 or 2 hours a night. That's a lot of sleep. Ivanka Trump briefly takes Donald Trump's seat at G20 table. The incredible life of Roger Federer, the highest paid tennis player on earth. Somebody is over there on their phone. I don't know if you can hear it. I don't know if he went and got his phone because I was doing a recording. But he seemed loud to me. Is he loud? This is like not a confined environment, so I don't know what the sound quality is going to be like. Gary Cohn, do you know who he is? Well, Gary Cohn's White House salary is below nearly every other high-ranking staffer. So I clicked on the article because I was curious. Below could mean anything. It could mean that other people make $170,000 a year and he make $160,000. I didn't know what it meant. But apparently, or from what I recall, most high-level staffers make $160,000, $170,000 a year from the White House, not including whatever side hustles and side deals they have going on, where they, you know, take advantage of their access to the President of the United States to get more money. But an administrative assistant, you know, like, you know, it's probably like, you know, like these government jobs where they're like grade 3, grade 9 or whatever. But an administrative assistant makes $34,000 a year. So this person who I don't know, Gary Cohn, you know Gary Cohn, he makes $30,000 a year. So I guess he's making up his money in other ways, maybe. That's just a guess. I don't know him. But that's it. Those are my notes from the news feed. Thank you for being here, liking, commenting, subscribing, and for being you, being fabulous, and being fabulous you. Peace.